post it later on. All right. So welcome to our first virtual Parent University Town Hall meetings. We're excited to have everybody come and join us today. This has been, an extension of a program we've had around for a while. Parent University is something that we normally host once a month at Glow Academy, but now that we are in this land of virtual learning, I think that the need for more connectivity and a lot of explanation about what's happening in the world around learning and supports is really present. So I think we're going to kick up town hall meetings, virtual town hall meetings. We were talking about every other week, but I think it now sounds like we're going to do it every week. Just an opportunity for parents to get some information about what's happening and how they can best support their kiddos. So welcome to this meeting. We absolutely 100% want to hear from you and definitely want to know if you have questions. There is a chat feature. If you are joining us in this meeting and not watching us live, there is a chat feature in this meeting that lives up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And you can type in a message in that chat feature. And if you are joining us and you have a question about what's happening with your kid, how you can best support their learning at home, what's going on, please join in with that chat feature and ask your questions. There'll be a time for answering questions at the very end of this meeting as well. But during this meeting, it's helpful just because of screenplay to keep your microphones muted unless you are presenting. And then we'll give you a chance to unmute your microphones and ask us questions at the very end. So the agenda for this meeting is just to come together and establish expectations for what is happening in Glow Virtual Academy, expectations for what kids are supposed to be doing, expectations for what teachers are doing, and expectations for what is happening with parents and how you can best support your kiddos too. How do you get access to Canvas as a parent instead of having to sneak in as your kid? Get a tour through Canvas, see what your kids are looking at, and get a little insight into why it is that we've designed it the way we have. And then, of course, to answer your questions, which I'm sure you have a lot of them. So as we kind of jump into this, I want to go on record and say that nobody signed up for online learning when they signed up for this school year at Glow Academy. That was not in your thought pattern. But all of a sudden, a month ago, we were thrust into this place where learning had to move from our school to our houses. And all of us are feeling that. So I am the mother of 3 boys, two twin boys that are 10 years old, they're in 4th grade, and a 13-year-old 7th grader who I am supporting at home with their online learning, just like you guys are doing with your kids. And I know Ms. Garza is in that same boat. We are balancing all the things that are happening, and it is a lot. We are feeling that. I don't know, Paige, if you want to weigh in here.
Oh yeah, Garza Academy is full throttle right along with Glow Virtual Academy. So it has been a lot to take on and to learn that home and work balance while kids need to be fed. And I'm not sure about anybody else, but my laundry and my dishwasher and like how much my kids eat, I didn't know how much worse it could get, but my kids eat a lot more than I knew. So
yeah, so we threw the slide in here to say, parents, it's a lot. You're being asked to support a lot, do a lot, be around your kids a lot, and we know that you didn't sign up for it. So we want you to know it's okay. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, whoa, this is too much. It's okay to do all those things. It's okay to not have your kids do learning every day and all day long, and they shouldn't be in front of a screen all day. We really have taken some time to design a course or a series of courses that allow your kid to be engaged in learning work, but it not be overwhelming for your kids or for you. That has been our number one focus. In fact, Paige, we have some real strong values that are underpinning Glow Virtual Academy, and we want you to know about them. Paige, do you want to share those values?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have definitely several that we have been really trying to focus on as we not only figure out how to challenge this issue for Glow, but even in context to challenging issues that we have at home through Virtual Academy, whatever it may be. One of those values is empathy. We understand that some of us are working at home and trying to work from home. Some of our jobs are really challenging to do remotely, and it's also hard to parent while working. And if you're like me, it's hard to ignore the housework while I'm here. And so, empathy for everyone, that not everyone's home life is the same, that doing schoolwork at home for our students may not fit neatly into a 8:45 and 4 o'clock schedule because things have changed and our schedules have changed. So just having a lot of empathy for the situation. We've been trying to move forward with purpose in everything that we do with that value in mind. Another value in mind has been consistency. We've wanted to make sure that everything that we've created and that our teachers have created are consistent and as much as possible visibly the same. We are, we've been thrown into a virtual online setting without a whole lot of training. And that's all of us, right? That's students, teachers, administrators. We've all just kind of jumped in and we're figuring it out. So we've got to be empathetic for that. But since we are having to all figure it out together, it's a lot easier if we're all figuring out the same thing. So you'll notice as we kind of walk through our Glow Virtual Academy, we've been trying to keep things really consistent, grading consistent, our syllabus for Q4 consistent, how Glow Virtual Academy looks in all of our courses consistent. Just making sure that across the board, we're not having to learn a bunch of new things as students or as parents. And one of the other values that I think is critical and has really kind of framed our work over the last month is simple quality. We don't want to say that the school year is a bust because we just refuse to accept that. Glow Academy is thriving. And we're going to continue to thrive through the end of this school year. But we are going to do it just in a little different way. And we're going to be realistic about the amount of face-to-face time we can have, number one, the amount of schoolwork that we can potentially do. But we want to make sure it's of high quality. Just because we can't be back together on our campus right now doesn't mean that the work that we do together can't be high quality and challenge our students to think critically and have high levels of rigor that we expect at a college preparatory academy.
Excellent. So before we hop in to all of this conversation about Glow Virtual Academy, I have to stand on my soapbox for just a second in saying this, this is a lot for parents. This is a lot for kids too. And kids thrive on routine. I don't care if you're a kindergartner or a middle schooler or a high schooler or a 43-year-old educator. We all thrive on routine and schedules. And this has thrown that all out the window. And it's been kind of crazy. And so our kids, we know, need some heavy amount of support, just socially and emotionally. Really and truly, because girls are real social learners. I mean, best practices in girls only education tells us that girls do best when they're able to talk to each other and work out problems together and build social groups together and work on things, getting their thoughts in their head out loud to a group of people. We're real social creatures. And so being separated from each other has its challenges, most especially for our girls. And so I want to give a shout out to our student support team really quick. In fact, our next town hall meeting is going to be about supporting your kid socially and emotionally in this time period because they need it. So our student support team is here to help your kids be well socially and mentally and emotionally as we're navigating this together. So our GLOW student support team, Ms. Meredith, Ms. Jenkins, are available to chat online with kids if they're needing somebody to talk to. Their GLOW advisory teachers, many of whom are online tonight, are reaching out to GLOW kids. They have a leadership advisory discussion board that is happening in their weekly assignments. We want them to feel connected. We want them to see each other. We want them to hang out on Google and just have that connective experience. But if they need to talk to somebody, they should reach out. And you as parents should be able to reach out and let us know. Coastal Horizons has onboarded a brand new therapist just for GLOW Academy. Her name is Laura. She's joining a fabulous group of Lauras. And so if your kid already was signed up for therapeutic interventions and supports with Coastal, that can continue. She's doing teletherapy. And if your kid is showing need to talk with somebody and work with somebody right now, she can onboard new kids right now with you virtually, and she can continue to do services with them right now. So that's an option. But I want to tell parents and kids that we have the Say Something anonymous reporting system. If you, in your virtual land, are seeing somebody, one of our GLOW students, engaging in behavior that is unsafe to themselves or to other people, we need to know about it so we can intervene. Anonymous reporting system goes directly, literally to my phone and Ms. Garza's phone and Ms. Meredith's and Ms. Jenkins and in our email, and we can respond immediately to any unsafe behavior that we see happening. But we absolutely 100% want to let parents know that we're here not just for academic supports, but for social and emotional supports too. So let's get on with the business of this conversation, which is GLOW Virtual Academy. So it's launched. We're in it now. We're a week in. We're into week 2 of GLOW Virtual Academy. So we want to go back and talk about what you can do to help your kid be successful. So wanted to give you a heads up that in week 1 of GLOW Virtual Academy, your kiddo in her leadership advisory lessons got introduced to all things campus and was encouraged to invite you along for the journey and to join her in her leadership advisory lessons this week so that you could get a sense for what was happening. In that lesson, she was introduced to a set of expectations, a learning contract, as it were, for what she should be doing as a GLOW student during this time of GLOW Virtual Academy and online learning. This had a lot of expectations, but I'm going to invite Ms. Garza to summarize it for us, to give us the skinny about what is happening with students and their expectations during this time of GVA.
Yeah, absolutely. So our online learning contract really broke this down into 2 areas, expectations in 2 areas, course progress expectations. So GLOW Virtual Academy has launched, and there's an expectation that students are in their course shells and they are participating, that they understand that being in their courses at any time during the day and completing that work on a weekly basis demonstrates that they're in attendance to the school day, and that they are successfully completing their assignments, communicating with their teachers, talking to their classmates when asked, and that they are working to meet deadlines as much as possible, and that they're engaging as much as possible. It's also important that they know it's their responsibility to contact their teachers if they need help, and to make sure that they've looked at their teachers' course homepages, which we'll look at here in a little bit, and they know when their teachers have office hours. So that means that those are times that they can reach out to their teachers and get one-to-one help if they need it. And that, you know, they work ahead if they know that they're going to be busy in the evening or busy in the morning. The great thing about our online virtual academy is that it is asynchronous. So there's not a specific time of the day that they have to log in for a grade. And so so it's really up to them to work through that coursework every week and do it in a way that best fits the schedule. The second piece of that online learning contract is really about academic and behavior honor expectations. So understanding that, you know, they are creating and submitting their own original work, and that they are doing so in a way that adheres to our internet and technology use policy, which was completed during enrollment. So, you know, using the best code of conduct for online behavior, whether that is from a photo standpoint, video, posting pictures, language that we use, all of those things are appropriate in the same way that we would have expectations on site. And we just want to make sure that all of our Glow girls are safe. So in that lesson this week, that was really kind of the goal, that students and parents read through that contract and that they submit that they are on board with following all of those expectations as we move forward.
Excellent. So kids are really clear about what they're supposed to be doing, but we wanted to make sure that parents were really clear about what you should be doing. We've got a lot of emails and a lot of parents reaching out saying, what am I supposed to do? How do I support this? I need tech support because I don't know how to problem solve this. And it just has let us know that the parents are engaged, but you need some guidance. So the goal of this conversation is to give you some guidance and let you know, hey, you know, you don't have to do too much. So in general, here's the deal. Parents and teachers are going to work hand in hand on this one. Teachers are going to be real hands-on. So the adults in this learning scenario are going to do some stuff, right? So teachers are going to design weekly lessons and get all of the work up there into Canvas so students can access it. They are going to push out announcements every Sunday at 12 noon so that kids know what's happening for the coming week. They're going to respond to student work. They're going to maintain their office hours every week and be available to students when students need them during that office hour time. They're going to check in with all their students weekly and maybe even more regularly, especially with their leadership advisory students. They're going to grade student assignments and weekly discussions and communicate with parents about learning progress along the way. They also are your frontline defense for problem-solving technology. Now, we have a technology help ticket. Ms. Garza and I and our GBA support team have been really working hard to support those tech pieces. But parents, man, if you run into a technology issue, please reach out to your kids' teachers. They're in this every day, problem-solving every day. They're a great first-line defense if you're having technology issues. So teachers are real hands-on, even though we're not in your house. They're real hands-on with kids every day, helping to support kids. Teachers are really looking to parents to help us be the eyes on the ground, though. So while teachers are hands-on, parents, you're our eyes in the field telling us what's happening. So parents, your job is to encourage your kid to get online daily and do some learning work. They have about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more, of learning work in each of their core subjects areas. So that's about an hour and 15 minutes worth of learning work every day. Some of our kids, I know that you'll be shocked when I say this, some of our kids like to procrastinate and put it off to the very last minute. I might be speaking to every parent who's online right now, and put it off until Saturday or Sunday to get their learning work done. And it might seem overwhelming to them if they put it off to the last minute. So one of the things that parents can do is encourage kids to log on every day and get it done early. So knock it out early instead of procrastinating to the end of the week. One of the ways that this could be really helpful is sitting down with your kid on Monday and looking at all of the different assignments that are in Canvas and mapping out a schedule. So one of the things that we know middle school kids and high school kids need is real help organizing their lives. So while we don't necessarily think that you need to help them do the assignments, we definitely think you could help them set up a schedule for themselves. That could be a checklist for checking off the assignments as they do them. That could be a daily schedule. Monday, I'm going to do this. Tuesday, I'm going to do this. Wednesday, I'm going to do this. That could just be hey, I'm going to do all my ELA work on one day and all my math work on another day and all my social studies work on this other day. Whatever schedule works best for your kid, that's the schedule that you need to support. Also, it needs to be a daily schedule that works best for your kid. Now, I have a 13-year-old in my house, and he is an early riser, which is unusual for 13-year-olds. He's an early riser because he's a fisherman. And so our expectation in our house is that he gets up, he tackles his learning work right after breakfast, and after about an hour to an hour and a half of learning work, he's free to go fishing all day long in the backyard, which is what, to pardon the pun, floats his boat. So that's our expectation. That works best for our kid. But some of you have teenagers who really need to sleep a little bit later and do their learning work in the afternoon or maybe even in the early evening. And that's fine too. It doesn't have to always happen right when they get up in the morning, but it definitely needs to be a routine. If they're bouncing all over the place and doing it at all different kinds of times of the day, that kind of is not so great for teenage minds and teenage bodies. So staying on some kind of predictable schedule for your kiddos will be good. Also, just a word to the wise, when we let kids' sleep habits get off, it takes a lot of time to get those back in line for school. And so eventually we're going to go back to school, right? It probably is not going to be this school year, but it definitely is going to be in August. And if we have a good solid 5 months of wonky sleep habits, sleeping all day and being up all night, it's going to be really tough to get back into a routine, a good sleep routine when it comes to school time in August. So be mindful of that, moms and dads, as you're looking at setting your kids up for success, especially in online learning. Outside of supporting kids with organizational structure, just continuing to be that cheerleader, that guy on the side that's saying, hey, are you getting your assignments done? Hey, you can do this. Oh, I know that seems like that's a hard thing to do. Have you reached out to your teachers? Have you gone to Miss Tomlin's office hours and asked her for help? Doing those cheerleader type of things that keep them on track, but you don't have to be their teacher. Our expectation is that you help push them towards the resources that are going to help them be successful, but you don't have to be that resource. That's too much. And you've got a lot of other things that you're managing. Miss Garza, do you have anything else to add to that?
I was just going to say that one bonus of how our structure has been set up for Glow Virtual Academy is whatever gets pushed out in those Sunday afternoon announcements that say, here's what we're going to be working on this week, nothing's going to be added to that. So take Ms. Hunter's advice when she says set a schedule for Monday, because we're not going to push out an extra assignment on Wednesday and an extra one on Friday. You will get the full scope and sequence of everything on Monday and really be able to plan your week. And that's helpful to know what's coming down the line all the way through Sunday.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that. I'm living in a world where my kids get assignments pushed out to to them every day from their teachers. And it's crazy trying to maintain a kind of a workable schedule with them. So this is actually really a gift to have a week in advance for what your kids need to be working on so that you can really help plan and support and make it sane for your household. So I want to encourage you, in week 1 in Leadership Advisory, we asked you to do this together with your kiddo. If you didn't do it, this is a great time to go back into that course shell. We're going to show you how to do that in just a second and click on it. In this, there is a document that we put in there to help you. Tips for parents to support online learning for their kid. It's in there for you to review and to talk about with your kiddo. And so we strongly encourage you to go back in and check it out if you didn't do it in week 1 with your kid, like we asked them to invite you to do. All right, so let's talk about how you can get in as a parent. So how do you get in, and how do you create a parent account, and how do you monitor what your kids are doing in Canvas, which is critically important with any kind of online learning. So if you create, I see the question, I will go back and address that in just a second. So you were able as a parent to create a Canvas account. In your Canvas account, you're going to be able to see weekly announcements. You're going to be able to see discussion boards. You're going to be able to view her assignments, and you're going to be able to see her grades. All of those things are critical. Paige and I are going to work together to show you how to do this. So Paige, we're going to tag team this. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So the first step to Paige, I'm double checking. Can you see my Canvas dashboard?
I can. You've been registered for a lot of courses, Miss Hunter.
That is correct. The first step to being able to sign in as a parent is that your Glow Girl has to go into her account. Now, we're going to push out directions to your Glow Girl on how to do this, and we're going to send it to you too right after this meeting, so don't worry about that. But she needs to go in, and where she needs to go is to her account settings. It is over here in the corner. She goes to her account settings, and she needs to pair with you. So all the way over on this side of the screen, there are a series of gray buttons. The button that she needs to hit is pair with an observer. And when she does that, she gets a code. It looks like this, and she has to share that code with you. I don't have access to that code. Her leadership advisory doesn't have, a teacher doesn't have access to that code. She's the one who does, and she needs to share that with you. Now, Paige is going to take charge of this meeting and show you from her end what it looks like from a parent perspective.
Great. So I am going to go to a Canvas instructor login page, and I'm going to just come out of here really quick and log out so it does it nice and neat for us. Okay. So I am going to go to Canvas, and hopefully it doesn't automatically log me in again. And I'm going to go to Canvas by instructor. And then here it's going to take me to create an account, and I am going to click here in the top right corner where it says need a Canvas account. Click here, it's free. And then here's what I'm going to do is you'll see I'm a teacher, I'm a student, and parents sign up here. And that's exactly what you're going to click. And then you're going to just fill out this information. It's actually fairly simple. You are going to put in your name, your parent email account, a password that you can remember, and then all you have to do is put in that pairing code that Laura just shared, click and go. And then you're going to see the exact same thing that your student does. The difference is you just won't be able to participate in the course, but you'll be able to see everything as an observer, what work is being completed, what announcements are being pushed out by teachers, every course your student is registered for. You will be able to see all of those things.
Wonderful. Before we go forward, do parents, this is a great time for me to stop and ask, does anybody have any questions about that particular part of this conversation? If you do, can you enter your questions into the chat feature and we'll address them right now.
I do see that there was a question about something else earlier about getting into a leadership advisory class. I don't mind sending out a link to a course if you need it.
Perfect. Okay, so now that we are familiar with how to sign in, note that your kid has to do one thing, share code with you, and then you can go in and create that parent account for yourself. Let's take a tour of Canvas. Let's see what you're going to be seeing. I'm going to let Paige share her screen with you, and she's going to be our virtual tour guide of what Canvas looks like. As we're on this virtual tour, I want you to pay attention to the tabs on the side. I want you to pay attention to when your student can access their teachers. So teacher office hours and how to figure that information out. Where you can go to find announcements. How they're going to be engaging in coursework. So the order of that coursework and where you can go to see grades.
Okay. Okay, here we go. So let me go back in. Okay, so we're going to pick a class here. Let's try Math 1, shall we? All right, I am sneaking in here. I'm going to sneak into Mr. Sorrell's Math 1 class. How about that? So let me go into a student view really quick, because right now you're looking at a teacher or designer view. There we go. So when a student enters a course, this is what they're going to see. This is exactly what they're going to see. The homepage for every teacher looks exactly the same. So you're going to find on a homepage all information in reference to contacting that teacher, email address, sometimes a number that you can call, a remind code that you can join, and office hours for when that particular teacher has said, if you call me or email me during this time, I'm going to get back to you right away. So that's really important information to have in reference to getting help in particular courses. And again, that's going to be right when you log in on the homepage. Other pieces that you're going to see, if we take a look at the tabs, there's some tabs here that I really want to kind of just go through really quickly. So every Sunday, I told you that teachers are going to push out an announcement. I want to show you what that announcement looks like. Okay. So the Sunday announcements are going to have specifics about what's happening that week. In addition, a weekly checklist. So here I can see that in week 1, in Math 1, there was an introduction to quadratic functions and notes on properties and key features of quadratic functions. I see that they had a discussion that they had to engage in, and it looks like 2 different assignments, week 1 review quiz and describing quadratics and parts of a quadratic function quiz, both of which were 10 points, and our discussion that was worth 10 points. So when I mentioned before that on Monday, you could really take all this Sunday announcements and put them together, every teacher will send out a weekly checklist of things that will be happening within that week. Students may get other announcements that are pushed out through Canvas as well. Teachers pushed out announcements in reference to Spirit Week this week. They pushed out announcements, tutorials when they notice like all students may be having a particular problem with an assignment. They'll push out a lot of information. Every single announcement is not only accessible here, but every announcement gets pushed to your student's email account as well. So they're going to get a notification that they got an announcement in their email and be able to pull it up right there in the email. And if you pair with your student and you're an observer in their courses, you will also get an email of those announcements.
Ms. Garza, before you go on, let me just stop and say, remember when I was saying how parents can really support student learning? One great way to support your kiddo is by looking at these announcements Sunday afternoon or Monday and helping your kid by making a list of all of the announcement assignments that show up. So Ms. Garza, can you go back to that really quickly?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So in that announcement down at the bottom, you'll see a weekly checklist. If you as a parent can pull all of that information together for your kids and make it visually accessible for them, maybe in a checklist in a notebook, maybe putting it all together in one document, something to help them written so that they know all of the things that they have to do in one place. That would help them to be organized. And if you are a parent of a sixth grader or a seventh grader, or maybe even an eighth grader or a ninth grader, and you sat down and said, here are all the assignments that you have to do this week. Let's talk about a game plan for getting them accomplished so that you don't get stressed out on Saturday or Sunday. That would be incredibly supportive and helpful. And your middle schoolers and high schoolers need that. They can't do it by themselves. This would be something that we would be doing in school. This is something that you absolutely can help with at home. Thanks, Ms. Garza. Sorry to take over for a minute.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just kind of going through some different pages just so everyone could see that consistency. I've been in 3 different pages, and so far, all of them have looked the same. And so, again, keeping with that value of consistency. So once we learn one page, we've kind of understand the layout and how things work on all of the pages. So we went into the announcements tab. I now want to take us to the module tab. The module tab is where all the work for the week for that course lives. Okay. And it's broken down by week. And so you can see here in week 1, the 14th to the 19th, that we have 3 kind of categories within the week. This is really important to understand. So the preparation work, think about the preparation work as any kind of new learning that a student is engaging with. So in the classroom, that would be a teacher teaching. Well, in preparation work, it could be. Sometimes teachers are making videos and they're uploading them under preparation work and the students are watching that video. Sometimes it may be an outside video, or maybe there's something that they need to read. So preparation work is going to be all the materials that the teacher needs your student to interact with in order to be successful with the week's activities. The second piece here is the online discussion. Our discussion board is a place for students to not only respond to a discussion pushed out by the teacher, but also to respond to their classmates. And what they're going to discover is that they're, in many instances, going to have a lot of opportunity to talk to their classmates. And like we can see here, for example, lots of students interacting in this discussion for week 1 in Ms. Herman's ELA class. Even see some good GIFs there sticking out. Let's see here. Kind of want to know. I'm up and awake and reporting for duty. I love it. So this is a great place for students to interface with each other, but it's also graded. So they are going to be expected to discuss, they're going to be expected to post their original response and to engage with at least one other classmate, but engaging with more is always better. So this is really an opportunity for students and teachers and students to connect with each other. Notice that there is a discussion rubric here. So if there are questions about how will I be graded, that piece is embedded. All assignments that aren't simply like a multiple choice quiz have an embedded rubric so that it is transparent from the very beginning of the week on how you're going to be graded on an assignment. Our next tab, and I want to go back to the modules page. I just realized that I didn't fully cover that, and I apologize. As we look into our modules, students will have to work through their preparation work. They work through their discussion work, and then the next piece is working through their assignments. In week 1, they had 2 assignments, but in week 2, everybody in the school has 1 assignment. And so all of these pieces that are graded, you'll notice on this page will have the point value here, 10 points, 10 points, 10 points. So the same amount of assignments is going to be exactly the same across the board in all classes in Canvas. And you can see we've already got week 2 work up. I will give you a little hint. If students are having trouble clicking, let's say, for example, they jump into week 1 and they go straight to the assignment and they're like, it won't work. The link's not working. It's because these have been designed in a way to click in order. The teacher has set things up, not all the time, but sometimes things have been set up in a way where you need to watch one thing before you watch another, and your teacher needs you to get through all of your prep work before you tackle your assignments. So just keep that in mind. If something's not working, it's probably because we need to follow it in this order: prep work, discussion, and assignments. And if that that's not the case, then the teacher will set it up so that it doesn't lock. Anything you want to add about the order of work, Ms. Hunter?
No, but again, the idea here is for kids to be engaged but not overwhelmed. And the idea here also is for your teachers, your students' teachers to be delivering content, and for you to be the guide on the side. You are not supposed to be teaching math. So if you find yourself trying to struggle through quadratic equations and went in way over your head, it is really okay to say, pump the brakes, let's call Mr. Sorrells. Okay, so that's the intention here.
Absolutely. And when you set up those weekly calendars at the beginning of the week, set up, okay, when are we going to do the prep work? When are we going to do the discussion? When are we going to do the assignments? So our other tab is going to take us to our syllabus. And I want to be really explicit here. And I'm not sure if this is the right time in our... Yep, I think it is. In our presentation, Ms. Hunter, but if you're okay, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the syllabus since it's here.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The syllabus is also the same, and I mean the same, 612, 6-9, it's the same. So we wanted to make sure, again, that we are keeping it consistent. Things changed, and if we can keep something from being different in this moment that feels pretty chaotic, then that's what we're going to do. So you will notice that no matter if you're looking in your 6th grade ELA course or your 9th grade leadership advisory course, that the syllabus, the meat of the syllabus is the same, meaning that every student in every course has prep work, an online discussion, and 2 assignments for week 1. That every student has prep work, online discussion, and 1 assignment for week 2. So all of these pieces are the same so that you can go ahead and plan for exactly what's going to happen and what's going to be graded and how it's going to be graded from now till the end of the school year. I will talk a little bit more about the grading pieces explicitly here in just a minute, but I do want you to note too that grades are here on the side as well. If your student right now doesn't see a grades tab, it's because they haven't submitted anything to be graded, so that's really important. And here's where they're going to be able to check out all of their grades and anything that's due. So for example, I'm a student right now, and if I were a student in Ms. Herman's class, I would be missing 3 assignments from week 1, my discussion and my assignment on identifying theme. So this is a really good page for them to pull up. So in order for them to have a grades tab, they either have to have been assigned something to be graded, be missing something, or have submitted something. And at this point, everyone should have a grading tab unless they just recently got connected to their course shell. But even with that said, they may see something missing. So you should be able to pull this up and notice any of the pieces here at any given time and follow up. Those are all the pieces, Ms. Hunter, when it comes to course tabs and homepage that I think are going to be really important kind of moving forward.
Excellent. So I'm going to flip back over to me sharing now, and we're going to talk about grading. This is one of the critical pieces that's important because Glow Academy is moving forward. Your kids will get grades for the last 9 weeks of the school year. This is, we have worked doggedly hard to make sure everybody has a computer, everybody has access to Wi-Fi, everybody has the supports that they need in order to be successful, because we're grading them. And so we never want to set somebody up for failure. We always want to set people up for success. I'm really happy to tell you that we have well over 90% of our students engaged in learning work, which is incredible. It is way above and beyond what all of our other counterpart schools around us are doing, which is great. But we've worked really hard to make that happen because we're giving them grades. So I want Ms. Garza to walk you through exactly how your kid is going to be graded in this period, and how easy it is for them to claim really solid, good grades as we close out the school year.
Absolutely. So this is just for middle school. So our syllabus is the same, but the grading is slightly different. So at the middle school level, we have standards-based grading. And so we have 10 discussion boards worth 10 points, 10 assignments worth 10 points. We try to keep it simple, mainly because we needed even numbers, not being a math person, need to make sure that that worked out. So they have a total of 200 points they can accumulate. And the discussions and the assignments are all weighted the same. We need the same level of participation across the board. And if you take a look here at the points value, essentially they can see this is a points game, right? So they are accumulating points, and how many points they accumulate is going to determine their standards-based grade. All of the assignments that are being put into Canvas, all of the discussion boards, everything is standards aligned. That is the first thing that we're starting with, our standard, and then we are very specifically targeting power standards for North Carolina and making sure that we're teaching to them. And so this grade really will speak to their mastery level of their standards. So you will see all of their grades in Canvas, and you will see that total point score. And then at the end of the 9 weeks, we will put in a single score for them in Power School of a 1, 2, 3, or 4 that will indicate how many points they accumulated, or in this case, their mastery level within that subject area for this quarter. Can we, yep. You just take me to the high school. Oh, it says middle school still at the top. That's okay. This is our high school grading scale. We just need to change that, so scratch that piece. Our high school grading scale, it's the same. It's consistent. In fact, it was so much the same. We got to change that to high school. So when it comes to our syllabus, again, 100 points for a total of 200 points. This time, though, those 200 points are going to break down into a percentage and then into our letter grade for quarter 4. The one specific piece that is a little different for high school that has changed is, generally speaking, our final exams will count for 20% of our final grade. But because our final exams have been canceled for this school year, our second semester grades, 50% of our second semester grades will come from quarter 3, and 50% of our second semester grades at the high school will come from quarter 4. And so many of the high schoolers met this week with their leadership advisory teachers. And one of the things I made sure to let them know is that they have 100% capability, or 200% maybe in this particular case, to get an A. So there's an opportunity here. It's just a points game. Accumulate your points, 180 to 200, and you have an A for quarter 4. So you can totally make that happen.
Okay, parents. So that was kind of an overview of Canvas, what your kids are doing, how you can set up your parent account and get logged in, what our expectations are of you as parents, what your expectations should be of us as educators. What questions do you have? Ms. Garza and I are around, and there are many teachers online as well right now. If you have questions about what to do to support your kid with online learning, now is the time to ask them. If you want to chime in with a question, you can either submit it in a chat box or unmute your microphone, just introduce who you are and ask your question. Are there any questions out there? Man, we're good answering so many. Okay, so Miss Owens, Rachel's grandmother wants to know, how do I see my granddaughter's grade? Some say nothing out of 10. Does that mean that it hasn't been graded? Paige,
yeah, more than likely, that's exactly what it means. So we just finished week 1, and the way that we have to think about online learning and grading is a little bit different than face-to-face. So students have from Monday morning until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And I know nobody's waiting until that long, but they have from until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. to complete their coursework. So the way that we have to think about that is that's a really long class period, and we don't want to grade the student until they are completely finished with their day, with that course for the week. So this week, teachers are really going to be grading week 1. So you should see within 7 days of the deadline, week 1's grades being put in. So the expectation for teachers right now is that by Sunday of this week at 11:59 p.m., that within 7 days, that week 1 grades are in. So you should see that change once week 2 is over. And then when we enter week 3, week 2 grades will start to populate.
Any other questions out there? Let's see. I'm going to check the chat box. All right, good deal. I'm glad that answered your question. Any other questions? All right, well, Ms. Garza and I are going to hang around in this meeting for a little bit if somebody wants to ask a personal question. But right now I'm going to stop recording.